All right, it's been a long time since I've made a video, but I've been pretty exhausted, and for that reason would have not done the best writing for my weekly updates. So I thought I would make a video instead. That way I still hold myself accountable. I still relay all this information to you. Plus, there will be more videos in the future. I think there's going to be about a video a week, along with the normal weekly updates, which will be written. I mean, 99% of all weekly updates are going to come in a written, basically, letter to you each week. But yeah, a video each week on a different topic, along with the occasional article or essay. But I think a lot got done this week. Usually I start every update, or it seems like I start every weekly update by saying it was a busy week. But that's because it's pretty much always a busy week. I did have a flight for the first time this week. It was my 8th flight in Uruguay. Now, it was about an hour and 15 minutes. And it went all right. I mean, it's been 3 weeks since I've flown, so for that reason alone, it wasn't fantastic. Because I've spoken to pilots in the past, and they all say, you know, the problem with it is that even after you come back, let's say these are commercial pilots, after a month or two, and no matter how many hours, how many hundreds or thousands of hours of flying you have, you come back and you kind of have to take a few days to relearn, or at least a few hours to remember how to do everything. And so 3 weeks being gone from flying with only having 30 hours under my belt definitely doesn't help. So it wasn't the best flight, that's for sure. And part of that is also just because it's such a long drive to get there. It's 2 hours to get there. But I noticed something interesting when I was there, and so it's been something that I've been thinking about over the last couple of flights. I started flight school in the States. I started in Colorado, flying outside of Denver. And then when I came down, I realized that I can, as long as I have a certified flight instructor, all of my hours can translate to getting my private pilot's license in the States. So I thought, well, it would be good to keep it up down here. But something I've noticed is that I've begun to feel like I'm getting scammed, actually. Because it's $100 more per hour that I have to pay here to fly, which is to be expected. Uruguay is an expensive country, so it's not surprising that it's going to be more expensive anyway. But that's not necessarily the problem. The problem is that I'm being drug along. I've had more than enough flight hours here to solo, and I guarantee you that someone with 10 or 12 hours who are soloing for the first time are not better than I am now at about 30 hours. I would be shocked. So I think I'm being led along to continue just paying for more and more hours, about $220, almost $230 an hour, which is wildly expensive. And my instructor's very difficult to deal with. I've had lots of poor experiences with flight instructors, and I've had a decent amount of them, 6 or 7, going through these different ones. Mainly, the majority of them were in the States, because it was just hard to find an instructor, a single instructor who had enough time consistently to fly. So going through all these instructors, I've noticed in the States, these guys are just getting paid by the hour. So they're not necessarily, at least a lot of them, aren't necessarily interested in seeing improvements in you. Like, there's no incentive for them to, at least I don't think there is, for them to watch you improve and progress. Not to say that they have zero interest in watching people progress, but I just think they don't care that much. The difference down here in Uruguay is that they see someone who, just because of the fact I'm a foreigner, they automatically assume that I have a lot more than they do, and so they think they can keep milking me for money by dangling a carrot in front of my face and going, oh, listen, we'll give you a solo in the future. It's coming up soon. Cross-country flights coming up soon, but it's always in the future. But the difference in instructors is that here the instructors are so all over the place. Like, there is no structure to the way they go about doing things. That's one nice thing about the States, is that they're very structured. There are certain markers that you have to hit in each flight. There's a certain level of performance expected, which is always consistent. Certain things to work on, which are not random every flight, which I haven't seen here. It's been the opposite here. It's been very difficult. So I'm probably going to make some changes with that. At very least, I'm going to say, listen, this time, because part of the reason is because my instructor just won't shut up while I'm trying to fly. Seriously, because how can you fly when you have someone yapping in your ear, telling you about all the little minor mistakes, like being 3 miles per hour faster than you should be, or being 50 feet higher than you should be, when it really actually doesn't matter very much. But the problem is, when you're flying, if you're constantly thinking about all these minor changes you have to make, then you're always thinking about things happening in the past. You're not staying ahead of the plane and thinking, oh, what changes do I need to make right now? What things do I need to pay attention to right now? So this next time, I'm just going to say, listen, I need to solo. It's been way too long. So for this one flight, can I just prove to you that I can solo? And can you just be quiet the entire time and observe? And if that doesn't work, I think I have an alternative option, different place to fly. Just because it's taken so long. Honestly, the skill is fantastic, but and I know I've taken a much more difficult road to keep progressing, but even in the States, it's very, at least my experience, it's very silly to go through all of this stuff just to get a private pilot's license. Because, well, I guess I'm just speaking from my own experience, because it's been extra difficult in some ways. So that's the update with flying. I haven't flown in quite a while. 3 weeks is quite a while. Along with that, being in the entrepreneurship cycle, that is the main focus. And I guess now that I think about it, that's one of the additional things that makes flying even more difficult. Because it's hard to progress in your flight skills if you're not constantly thinking about it, or thinking about it at least on a consistent enough basis that it's ruminating in the back of your mind at all times. So I've been thinking about all the stuff I need to learn and do and research for this drone agriculture business in Uruguay. This past week I started the sole proprietorship process, mainly because I need the bank account. Of course, you want an actual legal business, but the bank account is the main thing, because I need a way for people to pay me. So I started the process. It's going to take a few weeks, I think, to set it all up, but it makes the most sense to do it that way. There was also going for creating an LLC or a corporation, which the corporation seems best because of certain tax laws. The problem is it takes about 4 months in total to set it up, which is just too much time to get it done within a cycle. It would take one cycle, a 3-month cycle plus a month to get it all done. So for the sake of just opening a bank account and getting a registered business started, the sole proprietorship process makes the most sense. So I started that. Along with that, I did some basic research on different things that I need to continue going into this next week on different fertilizers and native grasses, because although we do live on a ranch and do ranch with cattle, we had only used fertilizer one time, and that was the first year we were here. I helped spread the fertilizer using a tractor, but I didn't know how much fertilizer we were putting in, what kind of seeds we were spreading, or what type of fertilizer we were spreading. I knew none of it. I just helped out. So I don't have any experience or knowledge regarding fertilizers or seeds or native grasses here in Uruguay. So doing research on that just to figure out the different effects of like the 3 main fertilizers being phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen. Learning about nitrogen was very interesting, and nitrogen volatilization was very interesting, because nitrogen volatilization is essentially, at least to my knowledge, it's the loss of the value of nitrogen through natural events, natural things in the environment. For example, heat is one, dry soil is another, too much rain, too little rain, improper enzymes in the ground, because there's ammonium enzymes in the ground which actually latch on to the nitrogen, or at least a component of the full nitrogen chemical, and actually bring it into the soil, actually allow it to be absorbed into the soil. And when those things don't happen as they should, for example, when it's too hot out, or there's not enough rain, or way too much rain, you lose the value of the nitrogen, and oftentimes it turns into ammonia, which is just a gas and completely escapes the soil, which is why you want to time your nitrogen spreading properly, during a time when it's not very hot, during a time when it's just about to rain. Probably light rains is the best. But the other thing is too, ideally you want to have decent soil in the first place that has the bacteria and has the enzymes in the ground to properly absorb the nitrogen. So that was interesting. The fact that potassium and phosphorus are just good for plant health in general, and I believe it's phosphorus specifically is best for aiding in root health. And we learned, actually, after doing a soil test, a couple soil tests on our property, that our soil is very low in phosphorus, way too low in phosphorus, which apparently is very common for land in Uruguay. So that was good. It was good timing to learn that. At the same time, I was trying to do research on these different fertilizers, just so that I kind of know what was happening and what the effects of low phosphorus are. And the reason I was going through and trying to learn at least the very basics about those three main fertilizers is just because while I am going out to places in the future and trying to sell the service of using the agricultural drone to spread fertilizer and seed, I want to have a basic knowledge, a basic solid foundational level of knowledge about grasses, native grasses in Uruguay, different seeds, and different fertilizers as well, so that I kind of have an idea of what's best for the customer instead of just showing up and saying, here's the service I can offer, I have the equipment, but I need you to tell me what to do. Even though I do expect the customers to have an idea of what they want specifically, I want to have a better idea of how things actually work. So that was the additional research for the week, which took up quite a bit of time. Research takes a long time because you ask one question and that always leads to another question, which is a good thing, but it can be extensive and take up a lot of time. In addition to that, some research on pricing and competitors in Uruguay. There's not too many drone company competitors to name, really about three main ones. And they all offer pretty much the same thing, which is they have the same list of benefits and features. They have very similar landing pages, just going to it. They all kind of look similar. And so I've been thinking about how, not necessarily how to differentiate myself, because a lot of the features and benefits that I'm offering are the exact same. It's just kind of taking a different position, which actually comes from the marketing course I finished this last week from Seth Godin. It was the modern marketing course, which I finished. That was another thing I did. So trying to think about what my position is, and I think I can take a good position on the precision part of things. The fact that this is, with drones, it's precision agriculture. You're finding the spots that need it instead of just, oh, here's an alternative to using a tractor. That's what I think I could do, but I need to think about that deeper to get a better understanding of what exactly I'm offering and kind of what story I'm telling by it, what people I'm looking to offer this to market this to. All that I need to do more thinking on it, but it'll get a whole lot easier once I have the T40 drone, which is the big seed sprayer and fertilizer drone. And we should have that this next week. It's taken so long to get it. But once I get it, everything will be moving along much better, because it won't just be theory. I'll be able to take what I've learned from the research, from learning about the software, taking the multispectral drone images, and being able to actually go out and spray seed and fertilizer in these highly targeted, precise locations. And in that, I'll gain the actual experience that I need from actually getting out and doing something. So once that happens, I think everything will be a lot easier. So did that. The modern marketing course was great, by the way. I think one thing I'm realizing, which is very obvious when you think about it, but important, is that when you're starting your own business or leading your own life, there's not a one-size-fits-all way of doing things. So with the marketing course, for example, he can give you Seth Godin in that course can give you the philosophy behind things and point you in a general direction. of creating the proper framework, mental framework, how you should be thinking differently, how you should be going into things. That's what he can give you. You can't really expect to get specifics on, where am I going to find success? How do I get there specifically? It's just, here are the basic mental frameworks. This is how you should be thinking and acting and going out into the world. Now take it from there, and you have to figure it out, which is extremely, extremely important. Along with that, I had some, of course, electives this week, including Spanish, guitar, and working out, lifting weights. I had 5 out of 7 days with 1 hour of Spanish practice, which is going all right. Again, I think it'll be great practice once I actually start trying to market and sell to the local ranchers and farmers who mostly do not speak English. Along with that, 6 out of 7 days with guitar, 1 hour a day. And I learned how to play Nutshell by Alice in Chains, which is a great song. Relatively easy to play, too, actually. And then working out, of course. I think working out is a very important part of just living, but especially very important in something like the entrepreneur cycle, or investor cycle for that matter, where there's lots of sit time, where you're on the computer a lot, or reading a lot, researching a lot, and you need to go out, do something, work out, for example, to get a bit of a dopamine rush, get the blood flowing, and you feel better, actually, and more ready to go out there and do more research, do more work. So it's very important. Worked out 5 out of 7 days. Usually it's 6 out of 7. I take Sundays off, but I think I was just too tired on Friday to do it. And then reading. I was about a third of the way through Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. And I slowed down on reading it this week because I got past the part where he was talking about starting a business, like the initial steps you should be taking. And it moved on to kind of the intermediate level. And I'm obviously not there yet, not even close. So it wasn't necessarily worth it to focus so much on reading that, but I'm going to finish it this next week. And along with that, I've read this book probably 3 or 4 times within the preparation, and 1 or 2 times before that. But there's a reason for it, and it's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The reason I read it, and I know a lot of people don't like Napoleon Hill, say he was a scammer and all that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I know that what he's talking about in his book is very important. Again, it's going back to that mental framework. The way you view yourself, the way you conduct yourself in the world, and how you make true individual progress to getting the things you want, or doing the things you need to do to get what you want, which also includes being someone. The whole be, do, have philosophy is deeply ingrained within Think and Grow Rich. So for that reason, it's very helpful. It's also helpful just to read the book because it's a very positive book. The whole book is saying success is open to you. Just remember to keep thinking this way. Keep thinking in a positive manner by taking these specific steps. And if you keep doing that, if you keep moving in a positive direction through these steps, then, well, there's no guarantee, but then you may become rich. And it's not just about rich in material possessions. It's rich in skills, for example, or rich in character being the most important thing, which Napoleon emphasizes quite a bit in his book. So not only is the book Think and Grow Rich fitting for the entrepreneurship cycle, but it's a good boost in helping you think positively, which I think is incredibly important. While you're going through things, I think you always need some book that shows you what could be in each cycle. Like, for example, even reading one of the Sackets by Louis L'Amour is always uplifting because it's adventure stories of men of virtue, great character, and high capabilities. So for that reason alone, it is uplifting. And I think you always need that. You always need some supplemental, small, motivating factor in the form of a book to read. But yeah, that's a brief overview of what I did this week. I wish I wasn't so tired so I could have taken that time to sit down and write about it, but I gotta hold myself accountable, so I'd prefer just to at very least, get a video out in a timely manner so I can tell you about what I did and what I learned. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you guys next time.